This is a reading for Jake by Guy Stephen Needler on the 4th of November 2014. So just kick off the recording for you, because I'll send you the recording. By the way, the recording's an AMR file, which you can play on iTunes or Apple QuickTime or Windows Media Player. It's quite a universal file. Okay, so let's have a look at this. What I do is, very first I'll give you a name for your main guide, what your main guide looks like, so you can use it in meditation if you want to contact him or her, or it. Yeah. And I also then give you this image of what it looks like, because sometimes they use an image from a previous incarnation to help you, to make the link subconsciously. Then I'll find out how many times you've worked with this guide, and whether you've swapped roles or not, whether you've become the guide and the guide's become the incarnate person, and whether or not you have incarnated together, because that does sometimes happen. Okay, it's not often, but it can happen. Then I look at how many helpers you've got, because your guide will have a team of helpers working with it to help you in your incarnate life, putting people in the right place at the right time, so that you experience the right things and learn the right lessons and evolve in the right way. So explain what they're doing. Then I'll look at how many times you've incarnated on the earth. I'll give you a figure for that and a little idea of some of the epochs you may have incarnated in. And then look at the number of times you've incarnated in the rest of the physical universe, because there's a big universe out there. We don't just use the earth as an incarnate opportunity. And then I look at where your true energetic self, sometimes called the Oversoul, sometimes called the Higher Self, sometimes called the Godhead, exists within the structure of the multiverse, because the multiversal structure is what we ascend through, what we evolve through before we recommune with our Creator, our Source. And then at some point it all starts again later and we move somewhere else. So I'll give you all that information, and I'll have to give you a document about what a multiverse is, so that you can get an idea of the structure of the multiverse and therefore where your higher self resides. Okay. Now the information comes out in one of three main ways. First way is me speaking like this. My eyes are closed. I'm given the information. I'll relay it back to you. The second way is if your guide and helpers come through, and my personality changes, mannerisms change, I'm pushed to one side, and they speak in the plural to you, giving you information directly. That happens if it's specifically important that you get information. And then the third way is if the source comes through, which is rare, and if that comes through, it's singular, it's very direct. Speaks in the singular, and that only comes through if it's extremely important that some information needs to be broadcast to you. There is a fourth way, which is I've only experienced a couple of times, is when the guides and the source speak one after each other. It's like two groups of individuals speaking to you through me, and that can get confusing because it goes from the plural to the singular and back to the plural again, and then back to the singular, and it's all a bit convoluted, and it sort of starts to confuse the hell out of people sometimes. So I have to explain what can happen. So it doesn't happen very often. In fact, it's extremely rare, but when it does happen, I have to warn people ahead of the reading so that it doesn't confuse you. Okay, is there any quick questions on that before I move on?
No, that's all clear. Yeah.
Okay, great. Right, so let's have a look at this. Jake's main guide and the name. Okay, your guy's having some fun here with his name. Right. He's used the image of a last life you've had on Earth. In fact, I'm being told it was the last life you had. So there's about 400 years difference between now and then. It's Elizabethan England type
Okay.
of. You know, think of Sir Walter Raleigh. In fact, what he said, I want to use the names Walter William Wagner, which is spelt with a W, isn't it? Of course, because W in German is V, so it's Wagner, not Wagner as we would call it, but Wagner. He said, I like that because it's WWW. They do have some fun sometimes. These guys, they can be characters actually.
Yeah.
And he said, I've used this because I know it'll make Jake sit up and pay attention. It'll make him sit up and pay attention. But the image is basically of the era that you were in your last incarnation. And he said, if you think about the type of clothes that Sir Walter Raleigh would have worn in that sort of period of time, it's the sort of thing that you were using at that time. Because your last incarnation was male on Earth, and you work well with the male energy when you're incarnate in the male form anyway. So it all links in that way. So you're saying your communication with you is pretty good. You listen to what we tell you, although you may not know you're being communicated with, you are. And he said it's working well. So let's have a look at. But you can use that name and the form to think about your main guide in meditation, to get intuition about what to do, get ideas about what to do, to get problem solving, problem resolution about what to do. Let's have a look at how many times you've worked together. Okay, so I'm going to say reasonably recent, but that's relatively speaking. You've had 218 lives where he's been the guide and you've been the incarnate, or it's been the guide. And that doesn't just include the Earth-based incarnations. It can include incarnations in the rest of the physical world, the rest of the physical universe as well. Let's have a look at whether you've incarnated together. Okay, it's saying we've only incarnated together once or twice, but my incarnations were momentary. I had, in a couple of cases, I had to do some serious work with you to make you change direction. And I had permission to incarnate temporarily, that is, manifest a body, fully functioning, fully adult body, to make you change direction in some way. And then I dissolved that body. And that's happened twice only in those 218 incarnations. And it's saying, strangely enough, they were both on Earth. Okay. Right, so let's have a look at with you swapped roles. Oh, straight away a big no. Okay, this guide says, I am purely a guide. And that's interesting. He said, I'm leading towards being a master guide. I'm not quite there yet, so I'm leading towards being a master guide. And master guides would have a group of guides working for them. Okay. Although guides generally have more than one ward. A ward is somebody that they look after. And in your guide's condition, it's looking after two of you right now, you and somebody else. Okay. Right, let's have a look at your helpers. What are they doing for you? Right, there's 31 helpers with you right now. And what they're doing, and this is an interesting word, they're saying that they're making you dissatisfied. They're making you dissatisfied with what you're seeing and experiencing around you. They're making you question everything. And they're giving you little examples of where this particular reality breaks down, so that you can use it as an example of your own progressive understanding of being in a greater reality rather than a limited reality of just incarnate existence. And so they're putting little nuggets in front of you every now and then, to almost like a breadcrumb trail or a paper trail, where something comes, you suddenly kick something with your feet and you go, that's interesting, what's this? and it ends up being this piece of new information. So they're giving you little things every now and then to help you become more aware and awake, which is a really important thing. They're saying you're growing. Oh, hang about. They're saying you have the capacity to grow exponentially. You have the capacity to really take off. But what they're doing is they're making sure that the foundations that you've got are robust enough to cope with that taking off. They say it's okay taking off, but if you haven't got the grounding, you crash and burn very quickly. So they're saying we're making sure you've got plenty of foundations there to help you move onwards and upwards in a robust and repeatable way. Okay. Have you noticed these things happening around you?
Yeah, I feel like they constantly just give me little things to keep me moving forward and keep me sort of interested in different areas, and just every time I sort of learn a different aspect, something else just gets thrown at me, and then I learn something new.
It's progressive, and you'll find it'll get the depth of what you're experiencing will get deeper and deeper and deeper, and the experience will get deeper and deeper and deeper, and your knowledge base will get deeper and deeper, and your intuitive ability and your spiritual functionality will get more pronounced, because as a result of all this, you get exposed to higher frequencies. As we get exposed to higher frequencies, we start to perceive and experience the content within the physical universe that is part of that higher frequency environment. It's a little bit like recognizing that although outside of your window now you can see buildings and cars and streets and people, when you jump up to the next level, you'll start seeing much more. You'll start to realise there's more buildings there, and there's other beings there, and there's things in the air and that sort of stuff. It's sort of starting to get that level of connectivity. Right, let's have a look at your incarnations on Earth. Right, 23,101 lives on Earth, which is a good number. Just give me a moment. So I'm just rebooting my backup computer. I've had a few crashes this morning. I had 3 computers out this morning. Okay. Let's have a look. And the eras. You're one of those who's tended to focus on technologies throughout the period of using the human form on Earth, and you seem to have focused on working with technology most of the time. I would guess in this particular incarnation you get on well with technology. You can understand it really quickly. You pick things up without even bothering to look at the manual. You can pick up a new device, and you can instantaneously understand how it works. That sort of stuff. You are one of these people who works well with technology. In fact, you can manipulate or create new technology quite easily as a result of this. So you are, and also you have the ability to bring into manifestation technologies from previous incarnate or human incarnate civilizations. I don't know if you work with computers at all, Jake, but I'm sort of seeing that you could almost be part of a group of individuals who could create the next generation of computers.
Okay.
Okay. Based upon the crystalline, rather than a different level of crystalline function, rather than silicon-based function.
Yeah.
Okay. Using crystal memory rather than silicon memory. So it's almost like, I don't know, we have a quartz crystal that we used to oscillate to get clock speed on microprocessors. They're saying that sort of thing could be used as a storage medium as well, and that would be much faster than, photographing pieces of silicon, for instance, those sorts of things. They're saying you could work on that, work on a completely different quantum level, should you decide to do so. Okay. So I've seen you in all of the major civilizations where there's been a technology involved. Basically, you've done lots of that. Let's have a look at your incarnations in the rest of the physical universe. $21,902. So you're almost equal. Okay. Now what about these? Oh, only about. This is nice. Some people, when they incarnate in the rest of the physical universe, try to incarnate in the higher frequencies, which means they get more functionality. You seem to be specialising in areas within the physical universe that are slightly higher than where we are now. Say, also the third frequency level, but the fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh. So those incarnate beings would be out of our visual range and out of our tactile range and out of our detectable range by our current levels of technology. But they're nevertheless incarnate, as the higher levels are, of course. But they have methods of manipulating their frequencies and being able to be present here as well. And so looking at this, you've hovered around the frequencies associated with the lower frequencies of the multiverse as a specialism when incarnate, and also within the locale, the area within the physical universe that is associated with those frequencies. So really, although things are overlaid upon each other and there is no locale, basically, it's saying that in the areas where the lower frequencies are used, you sort of stay in those areas, as it were, from an incarnate perspective, and you're using that knowledge as a way of accelerating your own evolution. I'm being told in some respects that's a faster way of evolving than it is having a low frequency life and then having a high frequency life. Low frequency life, high frequency life. What you're doing is experiencing as much low frequency existence as you can to accelerate your own evolution. It's more profound. It's a more profound level of experience, basically, and it does make a big difference in terms of how fast you evolve. Okay, so let's have a look at your true energetic self's level within the structural multiverse. Okay, this makes sense then. So you're in the third frequency of the second full dimensional component of the fifth full dimension, which is, if there's 12 full dimensions within the structure of the multiverse, I'll send you this document, Jake, so you can understand this, together with the recording. Basically, you're almost halfway up the structure of the multiverse, or your higher self is. And that means you're really quite highly evolved. And I don't tend to see a lot of individuals in the Western world at that level, because the Western world tends to have individuals who are stuck in the material condition. They are constantly wanting to experience physicality and the thought processes and experiences and desires and wants that are part of the material world, and so they tend to be third and fourth frequency level, third and fourth full dimension. But you're higher than that, which means that you are more in control of yourself and your environment than those who are just existing here, thinking that they're just a human body. Okay. Does that make sense with you at all for yourself? Yeah. Okay. Right. Is there any questions on that? Because there's a lot of information there. We can go through it if you want to, or you can ask questions later after you've listened to the recording a few times. If you're happy with that, we can move on to your questions, actually.
Yeah. Well, my first question was basically sort of, why have I incarnated in this life? What was I to offer? Which I guess ties in with what you just said about the sort of technology side.
Yeah. So what do you do for a job then, Jake?
I just finished uni and I've been trying to sort of get a job in illustration, but it's not really worked out at all. And I've just been working part time trying to find my way. And then recently I started working with Garth and the members on his forum and people.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I'm picking up momentum sort of and finding a new direction in my life.
That's why I picked up the crystals with you. Yeah, okay. Yes, Gar's a great bloke. And I did see, and I didn't mention this, but I did see a big Atlantean link with you.
Yeah.
That level of technology. Of course, Gar's doing a lot of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got any of his devices at all?
Yeah, I've got a code. My girlfriend's got a little code.
Okay.
Got one of his things.
Okay, good. Yeah. You can use it when you're meditating, or use it when you're sleeping. Put it under your bed, for instance. Around where your pillow is, for instance, that sort of area.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's funny enough.
Good. And you can use them to remember downloads for you and stuff when you're being downloaded information. So, what's your role? We've talked about this thing about crystals and maybe helping to create these new levels of these new different generations of computers, which is something. What I'm sort of picking up here is that within that is the architectural requirements for it, and it's almost like your illustrative ability could be used to create the architectural requirements for some of these things. That's not specifically drawing printed circuit boards, but it's understanding how it would fit together and creating the imagery that would support that. But there's that part of it. The first part of it, though, is to give yourself your own ability to express yourself spiritually whilst also working here, and that is to seek out those that can help you progress and that can teach you certain things and that will help with this exponential progression that you'll start to experience. And then you will naturally help others because your frequencies will be higher and you'll lift the frequencies of those around you as a result of that. So there's personal work that results in a more global set of work that's there. I'm being told to assist by opening your third eye. So, if you don't mind me doing that, are you happy for me to do that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, so I'll sit with one eye open here. Okay. Let's have a look at this. You may find you feel physical responses to this, like tingling or pressure around your forehead or the periphery of your skull, or temperature increase. If you don't, that doesn't matter. But if you do feel something, let me know. It's good feedback for you, actually. Right, here we go. And from my perspective, that's a good response. Just finishing off. Okay. Okay, finished. So I don't know if you experienced anything at all.
It's only very, very subtle. I just felt really subtle energy sort of around my, where you die with being central supported.
Okay, good. You'll start to feel that little. I've given you the ability to modulate it as well. So basically, like a rheostat, like a knob. Because when I activated it, it was really powerful, actually. So I've given you the opportunity to turn it on or off, or increase or decrease it. So if you imagine like a volume control, think of it in that way. It'll help you to turn it on or off, as it were, or increase or decrease it. So when you start working on things now, or start meditating on things, you'll start to feel this happening now.
Yeah.
You'll start to feel it. Okay. Good. So this will help you to become more expansive, more intuitive, more able, give you more connectivity. It's looking at your major connectivity is clairaudience. So it may feel as if you're talking to yourself. Well, of course you are talking to your higher self, but it's.
Sorry, I feel like recently I've had a constant sort of just dialogue back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which sometimes I do doubt sometimes, but I'm starting to build the confidence more and more, especially recently.
Yeah. Don't doubt, just accept. Doubt is the ego trying to regain control, because the ego is a transient thing which only exists while the physical form is in existence. It's due to separation, but when we become more connected with our higher self, the ego can't survive and it starts to dissolve. But it tries to keep us low frequency by giving us doubt and other things. It's ever so sly. So when you think you've conquered the ego, you haven't. So just be aware that anything like doubt or concern or worry or anxiety, although some of these things are physical sensations associated with personal ascension, although I don't think you'll get many of those because your physical form is already quite high frequency anyway, so you might not get the profound states of, aching in joint pains, aches and pains in the muscles, flu-like symptoms, anxiety, blurred vision, not being able to think straight. You probably won't get those. You might get one or two, but you won't get the full range of physical feedback that some people get when their physical form is trying to catch up with their energetic forms within the human body. So just be aware of this. You might get some of these things. Okay. But what I got about your role here is to create a fusion between the purely physical and the energetic. So at some point you'll start to bring together these two isolated subject matters, and you'll start to make a new genre of understanding, whether it's technologically or process-driven, a way of working or something. You'll start to marry the two together, and this is important right now because this is what we should be doing right now. We've seen something like that with homeopathy and with chiropractitionery and osteopathy within the medical industry, and this sort of thing that now needs to happen within the scientific industry as well. So there needs to be the joining of the two together, and that's what your role is, to join the two together. You're not the only person doing that, I've just been told. But because there needs to be lots of people doing it to create this critical mass, so to speak. But your role is to join the two together. I've told. Okay. Just a moment. We would like to communicate with you directly at this point in this communication between you and the channel, to advise you that it is not important to rush the job, so to speak. Do not get impatient with progress in this respect. You are physically young and have plenty of time to develop strategies and ways of which you can introduce these things. And also you need to meditate and receive the information from us as to give you the direction to work in this respect as well. And so we say, do not think you have to start it yesterday, for instance. Just go with the flow and take the information and the advice and the direction from us when it becomes apparent that it's there for you. Keep your eyes and ears open, so to speak, for the little symbols and signs that we will give you, the gut feelings, the emotional content, the desires to change direction, the need to speak to a certain person or discuss a certain subject with a certain person. Look for these signs, and these will be part of the building up of your personal progression and of the work that you're going to do. And we will give you the right people at the right time in the right place to ensure that you are at the door when the doorkeeper is there. We will use this metaphorically speaking, but if we work together, then you are always at the door when the door is about to be opened. If we work against each other and there is a desire to accelerate, then you will always get to the door before we can open the door for you. And so therefore frustration ensues and doubt follows and the ego takes over again and the work is lost and takes a lot of time to recuperate. And so just let us be with you, be in the flow, be in the moment and experience what you're experiencing in a day-by-day basis with joy in your heart and expectation of everything or nothing. Just be in the flow and in the moment, and it will grow. And then you'll look back in 15, 20 years' time and start to realize that, at this point in time there was nothing, and now there's much. So just be a little bit open, aware, allow yourself to become awake in your own time, and go with the flow. Oh, and we say one more thing before we depart. Don't worry about what life throws at you here. It is difficult here. We know this. But you are going to do so very well. Do not worry about the stress involved with being told you're going to do so very well. Just let it happen and let it evolve around you as it does. Okay. I don't know if that was informative enough for you.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's interesting that they came through to give you. I think the words you just said, the words you just given me, they sensed a bit of impatience.
Yeah. I'm eager to get started.
Yeah, they're saying careful there, because that's the ego. That's the ego. It can use spiritual progression and then twist it round when you're not even sure it's happening. It's very cunning. It's sneaky. The ego is sneaky. It is sly. It will use your own progression against yourself sometimes to maintain its control. But they're saying that you'll spot it. You'll start to see what's happening. Things like pride is ego. Things like satisfaction is ego. Although sometimes you have to give yourself a little bit of ego. You know, you have to recognise our hard work sometimes. So a good party once in a while is good. Okay. Okay, where else do you want to go?
So I was told that I had a past life where I worked with alchemy, and I sort of just wanted to sort of thought that I could use that information in this life as well. Just wondering what that would sort of entail.
Okay, well, alchemy is basically science, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an understanding of the manipulation of matter. Let's have a look at this. Ooh, okay. I didn't expect this, so this validates it. It's saying use GARS instruments. Use GARS instruments to give you, shall we say, intuition or direction. They can be good amplifiers, apparently. They can be used to be creative. And what they're saying here is that alchemy is a very misunderstood science. People think of it as turning lead into gold, which can be done, of course. It can be done very easily by changing a few electrons or atoms and those sorts of things. It doesn't take much to do that. It's a pity mankind hasn't sorted it out yet, they're saying. It would become much easier to have your houses with roofs of gold than tiles and lead. They're much more harder wearing. So they're saying, how else do you think the monasteries at Lhasa were roofed in gold? They created it. Okay. They're saying yes, you can practice on right now. They're saying that the abilities to use pure energetic manipulation of elements and changing their elemental structure is not available because of the base frequencies of the Earth and the level of purity of the individuals required to do it. And when you were able to do it, you were a very pure individual and the frequencies of the Earth are much higher. However, what they're saying is that you can use the idea of creativity and the idea of manipulation of energy to create thought processes and energetic functions that will allow you to be inventive. If that makes sense. They're saying use it in a different way. Use it as an agent for change in a more logical sequence that is kept relative to the frequencies that are here now, and not based upon a different level of frequency level. But you are saying use GARS instruments. Talk to them in meditation. Find out what they can do. I'm being shown a cone here. Do you have a cone?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a pyramid as well?
No.
You will do. And you'll also have one of these cylindrical ones with lots of solenoids in there and stuff and coils. They're saying use them. They're very important. The cone's an amplifier.
Yeah.
The pyramid pulls in energy, and the other device will be able to direct it.
Okay.
So they need to be used in sequence.
Yeah.
Almost lined up together. So when you're doing your work, use these devices to allow you to move forwards. Okay. Gar's going to get a telepathic message, or an intuitive message, whichever you want to call it these days, to give you a device.
Okay.
Yeah. One of them is going to literally tell him to give it to you. I've just been told, send in the postage.
Okay.
Send in the postage. Okay. It's saying things will become more apparent when they arrive. So this pyramid will come, and this other device will come as well. So you may want to buy the pyramid, and then he'll get told to give you another device. Okay. Right. Okay. Any questions on that particular direction?
No, it's pretty clear.
Okay. Something to do with circuit diagrams and things, apparently. The artwork supporting circuits is one of the things you'll start to manifest. This architecture, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't specifically need to be electronic architecture, is what I'm being told.
Okay, so that's more energetic architecture.
Energetic or crystalline architecture, yes. It's almost as if you could do an illustration of an intuitively created illustration of something, and it would contain enough sacred geometry within it to allow people who experience it to receive downloads.
Okay.
Okay. So when you receive the thought processes to do a certain drawing or illustration or piece of artwork that appears to be all sorts of different angles and shapes with no apparent start and end point and that sort of stuff, then you'll know that there's something coming through that's important. And you might find there's even little glyphs in there or symbols that appear to be Chinese or Japanese without actually being Chinese or Japanese. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay, I've been told to say what's next.
I guess I know I have a sort of a panther guide, like this Black Panther.
Yeah.
His name Jessup. I get the impression that he's perhaps my guide because I have similar energetic properties. So I guess I just sort of like always wondered because it seems quite very sort of powerful, but also very wide.
Panther guide. Basically, that's a shamanistic effect. Right. Okay, what I'm being shown here is that you've got a second guide helping you, which is quite rare, but one that understands the nature of things, the elemental nature of things. And the imagery you've got of a panther illustrates clearly power, but more importantly, purity and simplicity. And the information that this guide works with, and apparently it's using like a shamanic energy with you, which is actually a bit outdated, but apparently because of the way you work, you can log into it. It's going to give you the ability to log into and develop these architectures that can work with and manipulate natural energies, the energy of nature, and the illustration I'm being given is similar to the geometry that I was shown some years ago by my father-in-law of a guy in the States who was able to create weather systems by affecting the etheric, the local etheric layers, by having these pieces of geometry just travelling through the air or moving somewhere or rotating. Very simple stuff. Laminates of different materials which he kept top secret, but nevertheless they could create weather systems, and they did it on a regular basis, and you could see him do it. And he's saying that's the sort of thing you could do. The weather system is just one function of it, but you could, with these architectures and these things, you could change the nature of certain things. And they're saying this is a loop back to alchemy. Changing the nature of something is how you change it from one state to another state. And so this other guide that's helping you, that's got this shamanic property about it, is using this symbol, the panther, as a way of grabbing your attention, but also to show the level of purity and the level of power associated with the ability to manipulate local nature. Okay. I'm saying this will all come out later. Don't worry about understanding it now. It'll all come out later.
Yeah.
Everything has its time and place, even though time doesn't exist. Okay. Okay. What else have we got there? So again, if you want to, you can concentrate and meditate on the panther symbolically, and it will allow you to become more expansive and access the information associated with that guide. Okay. It's rare to have two guides, actually. It's usually a guide and a bunch of helpers. So it's, in my experience anyway. So to have two guides is quite a rare honour, basically. Okay. Okay. Any questions on that particular item, Jake?
It's just interesting how it keeps connecting back to the technologies and the.
Yeah.
I have sort of been getting nudges to sort of almost start building my own sort of technologies, but I sort of just don't really know where to start with that. I bought some quartz, but I don't know what to do with it. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing to do is. Right, two things. One, work with Gar. Send him your illustrations of what you think should work together, and he will validate it. The other thing is to use pure materials. There's a lot of people out there selling what are supposed to be crystals wrapped in copper wire, and it's resin. They do nothing. Make sure it's pure materials, pure quartz. If it's quartz, it doesn't matter if it's got inclusions in the quartz, as long as you can hold it in your hand and use your psychometric ability to ask it what it does. The first thing that comes into your mind is what that quartz will do. Whether it's rose quartz, amethyst, clear quartz, opaque quartz, whatever it is, just ask it what it does, and then ask it what it wants metallically, whether it wants copper around it, whether it wants silver around it, whether it wants gold around it, whether it wants, and how it wants the gold around it. Does it need to have anything around it, or does it just need to have something to the centre of it, or around the outside, or all these different things, and you can work with that. But it's saying don't get down the road of resin. Clearly, you can house these things in resin, because that's a method of locating them in the right positions to each other. But don't go down the road of saying that a piece of resin is crystal when it's not. There's a lot of they're quite forceful here. So there's a lot of charlatans out there, lots of people robbing people and charging a lot of money for it, and it doesn't get them anywhere. You be pure with your materials. Be what's the word for it? I've forgotten the word now. Make no exceptions. It's another way of that. It's another way of saying it. If somebody says, "Oh, you can do it with this instead," why don't you use this? Say, nope. I need to use these materials. Pure earth materials work. Okay. Or alloys made from earth materials, not polymers or plastics. Okay. I'm being told you can work with Gar a lot on this, actually. I'm being shown that you'll start to bounce ideas off each other. Okay, good. That's good. and saying work on your illustrations. It'll come. You'll start, and also you'll start to find some of your illustrations, as I've just stated about the sacred geometry, will start to have their own power associated with them. So it's almost okay. Now we're getting the clarity. It's almost saying that you could create your own illustrations or your own drawings, and they could be used to do certain things because of the geometry involved with them. So you could sell them almost the same way as you're selling, or Gar selling his instruments as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got to put some power on this computer. Hang on about. Just give me 2 seconds. Suddenly realised I've disconnected my computer from. Okay. Better. No, we don't cut out. Good. Okay. Yes, I can sell you. Actually, I can see you selling the selling the illustrations, selling the drawings.
Okay.
To help people, because sometimes just absorbing the information in that way does the job.
Yeah.
You could put them on, people could put them on their walls, for instance, and it would help create a certain energy in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Any other questions you've got there, Jake?
I'm sort of interested to see what the presumably it would be best to use my intuition and premeditation to get these sort of geometric illustrations, or once you mentioned it.
Well, just approach. I don't know how you do your drawings, whether you're doing by a computer or whether you're doing with the pencils or crayons or paints, whatever you do them. You might find yourself doing some doodles first. Yeah. And saying, don't worry about making mistakes and rubbing things out. When you've got your prototypes, your doodling prototypes, then you can put them onto either a digital format or you can paint them or use crayons or even different coloured felt tip pens, for instance. You can do all of that. It's no problem. Just when you feel the intuition to do it, just do a couple of scribbles. When you feel it's finished, then that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. The same you can start now, actually.
Okay.
So you've got when you feel inspired, that's the time to do it.
Yeah.
When you feel inspired.
Okay.
Right. Yes. So don't worry about being over-inspired sometimes and doing 3 or 4 pictures or illustrations at once, and then don't worry about having droughts, so to speak, where you might not do anything for 2 or 3 months. So it'll they're saying when you're working with us, we'll tell you when to work. That's nice of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that we'll tell you when to work, because we have to work with you when the timing is right, when the energy is right. Because some of these things can only work when there's certain frequencies of energy around you, and when you're at a certain frequency, and then it's a case of, well, we can get you working now. Information's downloaded, you work with it, you create the illustration, and then maybe the base frequency around you disappears, or gets lower, and then the connectivity disappears. But they have to work with you at the right times. So it might be absolute mayhem, and it might be like Vulture Gulch. Okay, right. Yeah, I keep seeing these drawings all over the place, actually. They say spiritually you could be as famous as Picasso in the future because of the energies associated with these pictures, these illustrations. Okay. Even though they have a dual function to them. Okay. Right. What's next?
I'd like to just sort of ask about some experiences I had.
Okay.
The first of which was I was at university, my friend put a piano piece on by John Cage, and I was sitting there and I was very relaxed, and I closed my eyes, and every time he hit a note on the keyboard, it felt like the note was hitting me, and like my whole body was resonating with every tone. And then it was like I suddenly was flying past the planets, well, not the planets, like in Arthos, some planets. And yeah, it'd just be nice to get some clarification on what actually took place.
Right. Frequentially you are quite high, and some of those notes do at times allow us to depart our bodies. So your consciousness was thrown out of your body because the tone of that piano added towards your frequency and pushed you out.
Okay.
So was it very lucid, or was it?
It was very lucid, yeah.
So you probably find it was what we call astral travelling or transcendental meditation, or something.
Yeah.
It's that level of being spat out of your body, and then as soon as you drop down the frequency, you'll come straight back in again. Probably with a thump as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Another experience I had, I was just cooking dinner, and it was like this sort of energy sort of almost came into the room, and it almost like centered whilst I finished cooking and started eating. It like centered in my vision, sort of almost dead straight, and it was just almost like this crack of light in my like vision I could see. So, just wondering what that was.
That was the physical representation of your main guide.
Okay.
That was all your eyes could decipher.
Right.
I mean, the image we've given you, this sort of Sir Walter Raleigh figure type of thing, is just an image to use. But frequentially, it would be a ball of energy or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be squiggly lines, it can be whatever. But that's all your eyes could decipher.
Yeah. So, what was the reason then for my guide sort of showing up?
Oh, it's just sometimes they get close to us, basically, and sometimes they need to whisper in our ears to, or download things to our third eye to make us change direction or move in a new direction.
Okay. Yeah. The other sort of question really I've got is, you know, I mean, I work part-time at the moment, but I just about sort of have enough money. I know I'm sort of learning some lessons involving money and acceptance of the job I have, but I guess it seems obvious, but I'm just quite eager to sort of move on to something more full-time and more in line with, you know, my progress spiritually and stuff.
What I'm being shown here is just go with the flow, Jake. Things will come at the right time.
Yeah.
Think positively that they will come at the right time, and that will help to accelerate them.
Okay.
Don't have any expectations, because that blocks them.
Yeah.
But just put your desire for things to happen as it's supposed to happen, and use your free time to do things that you think you should do now.
Yeah.
So to speak. So you're being given time to do things that you should be doing now, as against struggling to do them in the future.
Yeah.
And think of it in terms of that, because when you start to do your work, your physical work here and your other work, you'll be, you know, having to use an aqualung, you'll be that far underwater.
Yeah.
Because when you start working for Spirit and for Source, you do get worked hard, believe me.
Yeah.
And you know, and all there is, there's no holidays involved. It's just continued devotion, but in a different location. You know, it works that way. So when you're doing the job that you're supposed to be doing, and you're starting it now, then you'll start to realise that you're not getting a chance to sit down and chill out very often, because you're always getting things to do and having to sort things out and being of service to people and getting new ideas for things and having to work with this and that and catch up with this. It's interesting how it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So use your downtime moments to prepare yourself for the next thing and to start to tune in into it, start to tune in meditatively to your what you're going to do next, what you have to do next.
Okay.
It'll come to you. But don't worry if it doesn't come on that day. It may come days later, hours later, weeks later, months later. Okay.
I don't really have any other questions, so if there's any more information you can get on the technology, or if there's anything maybe that my guide or would like to add to anything.
I was just told to tell you to think about optics.
Okay.
Optics. Specifically, I've got the word here, refractals. Fractalization of light.
Yeah.
Because if it's fractalized properly, one can start to see things in the next frequency level through like a lens, for instance, or a filter. And you can use certain crystals to do this, wafer thin crystals to do this. But think about optics. Okay. And they're saying that's enough for the moment. There's more than enough to keep most people going for a lifetime there. Yeah. I'm saying don't worry about thinking about everything all at the same time. Just do it in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And it'll come as you're supposed to. Okay. Right. If you have any questions based upon the recording, then please email me. There's no problem with that.
Okay.
Because stuff will come out later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it basically. That's it for that. So have a chat with Gar.
Yeah.
Get him on Skype and have a chat with him. And show him a few illustrations and see what he says.
Okay.
Okay, Jake. Is there anything else very quickly or?
Yeah, I did actually. No, that's perfect. Thanks.
You sure you had one more then? What was that?
Oh no, I was just going to say I had sketched something a device out because I sort of was getting nudges to do so. So I'll show that.
Have you got it there? Can you show me?
Yeah. I can just find the right page. I don't know how clear this. So there's sort of like two layers at the bottom, two sort of wound coils at the top and bottom, and then there was some sort of like had the sort of concept of almost like this. If you see the way DNA sort of sort of wraps around, like it wraps around the crystal like DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually been told that's a healing device.
Okay.
And if you was to connect it to the back end of it to a torch that's got ultraviolet light on it, so it's the light shines through it, and maybe there's a lens at the end, like back to optics. You can use it to help heal people.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. And I've kept it recording as well for you. So there we go.
All right.
Okay. Okay, Jake. Thanks, mate. And all this stuff. Just stop the recording now. I'll send it to you.